Alrighty. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Playbook Podcast. This is your host, Nick. Today, we're going to be doing our first episode. As many of you know, we've already done a first episode, and it got destroyed in the ether somehow. It's gone forever, but that's okay because we're back here. I'm really excited today. To my right here, I got Trey, kind of the heart and soul of this pod. He's the one who wants to do it, and he got it together. So we're looking forward to having him here. And we got Jaden at the bottom, and we're going to have a good time. I'm just going to jump right into this, guys. We got a lot to talk about. As we know, the NFL started last Thursday, just coming up on 7 days ago. We got a lot to talk about. We got the Ravens versus the Chiefs as the season opener. It was a great game. It literally came down to the last inch. I mean, quite literally, as many of those of you who watched it and us here, we know, Isaiah Likely was an inch away from winning that game or at least tying it up. Chiefs pulled it out, though, 27-20. Just kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on that game. Why don't you go ahead, Trey, tell me what you thought of that. Do you think the Chiefs are primed for a three-peat? How do you think the Chiefs looked on Thursday night?
I think they looked good. Mahomes had one touchdown, one interception, because that defense is crazy for defense. Baltimore. Xavier Worthy looked good. I think they have a shot three-peating. I think Mahomes, you can't count him out. You just can't. People tried that last year, and look what happened. He came out on top. This was without Tyreek Hill, by the way. When you look at before Tyreek Hill, they were good, but not as successful as they are now. And Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, he can't throw in the end zone. He just can't. That one possession in the fourth quarter, second half, somewhere second half, he overthrew his receiver in the end zone. He could have run the ball to Derrick Henry or he scored to himself. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that game.
Yeah, I was a little concerned with Lamar's red zone, inconsistencies myself. Yeah, he overthrew Zay Flowers pretty bad. It was a rough fourth quarter there. But Jaden, kind of just go over your thoughts. I guess what did you think about the Ravens that game? How'd you think they looked overall?
Overall, they came out pretty strong. Their defense held up pretty good to the Chiefs. As far as their offense, Lamar Jackson was a running back instead of a quarterback that game.
Yeah, that's true.
He got a lot of yards for their team, and like you guys said, and then in the red zone they kind of choked a little bit, but overall, they looked pretty good. I think they have a great shot at doing good overall through the season.
Yeah, definitely. That new look Chiefs offense I thought looked really good with Xavier Worthy. Rashee Rice looks like a bona fide number one receiver now, in my opinion. He was, killing him in the middle of the field, just absolutely killing him. It was kind of a quiet game for Travis Kelce overall. I think he only had, let me get it here, 34 yards, 3 receptions. That's not what we're accustomed to from Travis Kelce. But Xavier Worthy, I think, is kind of the star of the show for the Chiefs in game one of the season. He had 47 receiving yards on only 2 catches, but he had a touchdown. They got him involved in the running game with that awesome reverse jet sweep that they did in the red zone, or I guess right outside the red zone. He ended up running that in for a touchdown. 2 overall touchdowns to start the season. They are still missing Hollywood Brown. Trey, I want you to kind of just go over what do you think this new look Chiefs offense could achieve this season?
Better than last year, because last year no one could catch. I think Kadarius Toney being gone is a good plus for the Chiefs. Actually, I think it'll be a little bit more explosive than it was last year. Because last year, even when Mahomes was in the pocket or running around, no one can catch the ball. So now I think this year he could be more explosive with the offense and then receiving as well. But Xavier Worthy, man, watch out for that guy in the future.
Yeah, for real. I think he adds a layer that the Chiefs haven't seen since Tyreek Hill left, to be honest. So I'm really, really looking forward to watching that. I think especially when they get Hollywood Brown back, it's going to look really good. But I kind of want to touch on what Jaden just mentioned. Lamar Jackson looked like a running back to me. He had 273 passing yards, which seems okay, but he had 16 rushes. He ran great. I thought he was great on the ground when he ran it. But Jaden, are you a little worried that he had more rushing yards than Derrick Henry? Derrick Henry had rushing attempts and yards too, of course. But Derrick Henry had 13 attempts. Lamar Jackson had 16 attempts. What do you think about that?
Which I think as a quarterback, that's kind of, yes, he was good at rushing, and he did good at it, but that's not really his job necessarily. I think if you're, and I know a lot of it's the coach's call to, who gets the ball, and I know, but I think that if you can't really rely on your running backs to run the ball for you, I think that's something you have to look at.
Yeah. Derrick Henry is there to be a bruising back, and they only gave him 13 carries. He only averaged 3.5 yards a carry. And to me, Derrick Henry is more of a guy that the more touches he gets, the more effective he gets. He's a huge guy. I don't know if you guys watched the game with the broadcast on, but Chris Collinsworth he let everybody know Derrick Henry's 250 pounds. I think he said it 15 times on the broadcast. It's a big guy, and the more he runs, the more effective he is. So I think we're all worried about the Ravens' lack of offensive diversity. It seems like it's very, very Lamar heavy once again. Yeah. Isaiah Likely looked awesome, though. That's the one I think really good spot for them offensively. But if you look at the scheme the Chiefs were running, they were doubling and triple teaming Mark Andrews, letting Mark Andrews have nothing. So I don't know if Isaiah Likely is going to be that open and have that many one-on-one coverages later on during the season. So, but yeah, I thought that was a really good way to start the season. Yeah. Well, they won by an inch.
And if you brought up Derrick Henry, how because if they're bruising him back, they should give him more attempts, because that's what the whole point of getting Derrick Henry was Lamar Jackson keep the load off his shoulder. And turns out that didn't happen Thursday night. So I'm disappointed by that.
Yeah, definitely. It's concerning, but again, it's only week one. Week one's kind of weird in the NFL. A lot of weird things happen. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but a lot of quarterbacks struggled in week one. We'll talk about that later. But we're going to move on to Friday night. We had the Packers versus the Eagles. I thought this was another really entertaining game. It started off really slow in the first quarter, but things really picked up in the second quarter. I just kind of want y'all's thoughts on the Eagles offense, because there were some good things and some really bad things, right? We saw Saquon Barkley look like Saquon Barkley. I mean, he was electric in that game. 3 total touchdowns, over 100 yards rushing, over 4 yards a carry. He looked like prime Saquon Barkley. But Jalen Hurts had 3 turnovers. So, Trey, what do you think the Eagles' offense is going to look like later in the season? Do you think Jalen Hurts' turnovers are an issue?
Yeah, they are an issue. Look at 2 years ago. They were in Super Bowl. Last year, looks like the same as last year, the way he did towards the end of the season. Saquon looked good too. I think Jason Kelce retiring can hurt them just a little bit, because he was their captain in the whole line. He was a heart and soul of the team. And Jalen Hurts throwing interceptions. He had 2 interceptions. Total keeper 8. I ain't gonna get it done. And
yeah,
they ain't gonna get it done.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys noticed, they did try the tush push, and it didn't work.
No,
I think they're gonna miss Jason Kelce a lot more than I think a lot of people thought.
Yeah,
the tush push looked unstoppable last year. At some points, they were getting 3 yards per tush push. People were saying just tush push every play, and you'll go all the way to the end zone. That's how dominant it looked, and it did not look that way. Another good spot on the Eagles' offense was their wide receiver tandem of A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. They both looked awesome. A.J. Brown had that massive touchdown, huge yards after the catch. Jaden, do you think that this Eagles receiving core can continue to play this way?
I think they can. I mean, they had a lot of good, people around them blocking to allow them to get open. I think with how effective they looked throughout this first game, I think they have a good shot at keeping this up. It's just a matter if they want to keep it up or not.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Let's move over to the Packers side of the ball here. You guys know Jordan Love out. He hurt his, I believe it was his ankle towards the end of the fourth quarter. It was actually literally at the end. It was, I think there was about 4 seconds left on the clock when he got hurt. Yeah. Initial thoughts after the game were he was going to be out for at least 4 games. Now it's saying he might only miss 1 game.
Oh, wow.
So he got I guess there's some second opinions that he got, and he might miss 1 to 2 games, which I think is really big for the Packers. I kind of want to get Yell's thoughts on that Packers team overall. I know a lot of people had them really highly rated going into the season, but is this just a week 1 thing, or are we thinking that they'll bounce back? The defense looked a little. Saquon had his way with them. A.J. Brown had his way with Jair Alexander. What are you guys thinking? Trey, just kind of give me your thoughts on the Packers overall.
I think Jordan Love played good until the end of towards the fourth quarter, but I think Josh Jacobs, they didn't hand the ball more to him. I mean, I think it was kind of weird letting Aaron Jones go in the offseason because that guy's the dominant. He's the Cowboys killer. Is what they call him, and but you should have given the ball more. You should have done something for Josh Jacobs. He had 84 yards and 16 attempts and rushing. They're gonna get it done in the NFC because now you got the Niners looking good, Eagles looking good, and Cowboys looking good. So that was kind of disappointing to see Josh Jacobs not having any touchdowns or any yards that much.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he had 84 yards. His longest was a 32-yard run. Yeah. If you take that away, he had 15 attempts for. I don't really like doing that. I don't really like taking away long runs from running backs, but we kind of got to just take a look at it in context. Without that rush, had been 15 attempts for 52 yards. He was really slow. He started picking up later on. I thought their backup, Emmanuel Wilson, looked awesome each carry he got. And obviously the story for the Packers is that young stud, Jaden Reed. He's an absolute beast. He only had 4 catches. He had 138 yards. He was killing that Eagles secondary, which I think the Eagles secondary is still pedestrian, but we're going to see about that later on. I thought that was a great game. People were slipping all over the place. That was something to watch. That turf in Brazil, I guess, was not up to standard.
Even the referees too.
Yeah, everybody was slipping.
Man,
coaches, strength coaches were slipping. Everybody was slipping. But overall, it was a good game. I'm still have questions about that Eagles secondary, and I in our first episode that will never be released due to difficulties. I was pretty low on the Packers myself, and I'm still worried about them. I think they have some bright spots. Jaden Reed. I don't think that defense is that good. So overall, thought it was a good game. But we're going to go ahead and move on to Sunday. I think there was a lot of good games on Sunday. We're going to open up with the hometown team. As we're a Texas-based podcast, we're going to talk about the Cowboys. I mean, we're not a football or sports podcast unless we talk about the Cowboys, right? So they played the Cleveland Browns. It was the final score ended up being 33-17. I thought the final score could have been a lot worse. Yeah. But how good do we think that this Cowboys team looked, Jaden? What do you think of the Cowboys on Sunday?
They definitely came out strong. With the especially with CeeDee Lamb and Ezekiel Elliott, they both did good on the passing. They kind of gave them a lot of yards when it came to passing, and it was kind of hard to stop them in a way. But they came out really strong. Whether they keep this up or not is questionable because they're always up in the air for how they're gonna do. But I think for a first game, I don't think it. I think they did pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. Trey, what do you think?
I agree with Jaden. CeeDee Lamb really look really good. So did Ezekiel Elliott. I haven't seen Zeke that good since his rookie year. Um, Even last year in the pictures, I thought he was washed down. I thought he was washed down. I will admit, I had the Browns winning this game.
Mm.
I did because that defensive line is insanely good. Um, as far as keeping it up, I think they can. I think that I know they have a soft little schedule, but you know what? I trust Dak Prescott over Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the Dax, if you look at Dak's numbers, he had 179 yards and one touchdown. I think that his numbers are they're not indicative of how that game went. Because they opened, like Jaden said, they opened the game extremely strong. The Cleveland went up on a field goal early. Then Dak had that sweet touchdown to Brandon Cooks off his back foot with a man in his face. Then they proceeded to score 27 straight points after that first field goal. So I think after that, the Cowboys play calling kind of pulled back. They knew Deshaun Watson couldn't move the ball to save his life, so they really played conservative. I thought Zeke was great, yeah, definitely. But what do you guys think of that defense, that new look Mike Zimmer defense, Trey? What'd you think of that?
I like how you move Micah Parsons around a lot because Dan Quinn kept him at one spot, and he didn't do that good at all last year. I think he didn't look like he showed up at all. He didn't look like he cared. But this time, he looks like he's in shape. Looks like he's ready to go. I mean, now people compare this guy to LT, which I think is blasphemous. But you know what? He looked really good. He looked really, really good. That defense is gonna be scary, and he's won the chip with them in '96. So
Yeah, definitely. I want to kind of just echo that. Like he was moving him around. It seems like the running defense is going to be a lot better than it was last year. Jerome Ford, 12 carries, 44 yards, not even 4 yards a carry. And he got a lot of yards at the end when the game was over. I mean, his touchdown was literally with 30 seconds left in the game, his final touchdown. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Dak, hours before the season started, or the Cowboys season started, got signed to $60 million. Jaden, do you think he's worth $60 million?
I think to Jerry Jones he is.
Well, that's definitely true.
I think that Jerry Jones thinks that without Dak, that their team will go more downhill than than they already look.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing is I feel like there's been questions whether this is just personal opinion, but I feel like the only reason he's paying him more is because he's afraid he's going to leave.
Yeah, definitely.
The only thing that's keeping him there is that paycheck. Yeah.
Definitely. I thought I liked the way Dak played. He didn't go, I'm worth 60 million, so I'm going to throw bombs. They stayed within their scheme. They stayed within the system. Trey, you mentioned Zeke. Zeke looked great. I haven't seen Zeke move that way since 2016. Yeah. I mean, he was moving really good. Another guy I want to talk about is Demarion Overshone. He's one of the tackles, one of the edges on that Cowboys defense. He was flying all over the place. 11 total tackles, a sack, and a tackle for loss. This pass rush looks way better than it did last year. They're moving Micah Parsons around the line. I didn't see Micah in coverage once, which was great to see. Obviously, it's the Cowboys, so we have to still be very, very wary. And Deshaun Watson might be the worst quarterback in the NFL. It might be the worst trade ever, and he might be the worst quarterback in the NFL. But overall, I thought it was a good game. Those are my main takeaways. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add about that game?
Yeah, Dak Prescott's science fiction. I think it's worth it. we're going to get any better. We're not going to get any better at all.
Yeah.
Trey Lance didn't do jack. Near's Cooper Rush. I know Skip Bayless says he's this and that. He's mediocre, but you know what? At the end of the day, he's a healthy quarterback. I mean, yeah, he'll miss one season because of his injury.
Mhm.
But as far as getting it done, I think he will. But I don't know with the Cowboys. That's the only thing.
I think with the Cowboy, like for Dak, I think for the Cowboys, I don't think there's anybody else you could put in that position.
No.
Considering that there's obviously better quarterbacks out there, but I don't think there's anybody that would go to the Cowboys that could be better than him.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know some people were saying to just give Trey Lance a shot. I don't know. I think if they sign CD's getting paid. I think if they're able to sign Micah, I'll be okay with the $60 million.
Yeah.
Sign CD, sign Micah Parsons, and I'll be okay with that $60 million price tag because apparently the Cowboys are good at drafting. I'll give them that. Jerry Jones knows how to draft. I mean, that rookie cornerback, he looked incredible. What's his name? Let me find him here.
Is this word 21?
Yeah, I think it's Kalen Carson. Yep, Kalen Carson. He's the rookie cornerback. He's taking Deron Bland's place right now. He looked awesome. He had 2 pass breakups. He was flying. He had 4 solo tackles. He looked super good. I mean, if you're telling me that this team's going to have a healthy Trevon Diggs, who once again was clamps, you're going to have a healthy Deron Bland who has a nose for the ball like no one else, and you're going to have this young buck, Kalen Carson. This defense is going to look good. It all depends on Dak in the playoffs, though. We know Dak's not a playoff performer, so we'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on here. We're going to talk about the Bears-Titans game. As we know, this was Caleb Williams, the first overall pick, his very first game of his career. It was a rough one. Trey, what'd you think of that?
I look nervous. I mean, it's his first career starting in the NFL without preseason. But you know what? I think he'll pick it up. He's the number 1 pick for a reason. He's literally saving the franchise. Last time a quarterback couldn't win in rookie was 2002. That's the last time a rookie won his first game was 2002. I was born that year. I wasn't even 1 year old yet. I wasn't even speaking yet. As a matter of fact, that's actually pretty good. I mean, but he'll pick it up. I believe in Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I think he just had a little bit of those first game jitters.
Yeah,
you know, the noise of the stadium and you know it all kind of setting in for him. I think it kind of just made him a little nervous, but I don't think that this first game is going to depict how he's going to do for the whole season. I think it's just he's got to kind of get himself a little settled in more and kind of get a little more comfortable.
Yeah, and he's literally saving a franchise. He's literally saving a guy that didn't do anything last year, Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even break 100 yards, but he didn't turn the ball over. Yeah. And that Bears defense, I know it was the Titans, like I get it, but that Bears defense looks like they did at the end of the year last year when they got they got Sweat. I think his name's Deron Sweat. I think I'm saying the wrong name.
DeAndre Swift?
Montez Sweat. Sorry, not Deron's. I was combining Deron Bland and Montez Sweat. That'd be quite the player. But yeah, Montez Sweat, as soon as they got him back at the end of they traded for him. And that defense looks awesome. They still have Jalen Johnson, who I believe is either the best or the second best corner in the NFL. I think that Caleb's in a good spot because he's going to have that defense to rely on until he can get his feet under him, in that offense. And we've seen a lot of quarterbacks win Super Bowls because of their defense, right? I'm not saying the Bears are going to win the Super Bowl, but I don't think there's any cause for alarm with the Bears. It's his first game. I loved what he said afterwards. He took full responsibility. He's definitely going to be better. But yeah, I don't, there's not much else to say about that game. Overall, it was pretty boring. It was a defensive masterclass from the Bears. I think if I remember correctly, I don't know the date, but that was one of the first time The Titans lost to a team who didn't score an offensive touchdown.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
I don't know how long it's been, but that's really bad. That's really, really bad. So not even a field goal, guys. There wasn't even a field goal.
man.
I think there was a field goal, actually. Let me see. There was a field goal. I had to go through 15 punts. There was a field goal, but there was no offensive touchdown scored. Will Levis threw more touchdowns to the Bears than Caleb Williams did, but I think he'll bounce back. I think he'll be fine. We're gonna move on here. We're gonna quickly touch on the Dolphins Jaguars. We got a lot to talk about, but I kind of want to briefly talk about this, mainly because Tyreek Hill was arrested before the game.
Right.
And if you guys saw after his massive touchdown, he had his teammates handcuffed him. They did the handcuff celebration, which I thought was absolutely awesome. I don't really want to talk about the Tyreek Hill situation overall because I know that that's a touchy subject. But what do you guys think of the Dolphins overall? Trey, what do you think of Tua? What do you think of the Dolphins as a squad?
I mean, I think it was a good team, and not the best game for Tua. I think that defense. I think the offensive line was terrible. Their defense was really awful. I mean, Trevor Lawrence had one touchdown, but still was. I think it was a defensive match, really.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
But I think it's very, like I said, it's first game, first week, overreacting sometimes. But I don't know. I kind of untrust in Tua. And Tyreek, in my opinion, Tyreek's their best player.
Yeah, definitely. Jaden, what do you think of that game?
Yeah, I mean, it came down to a field goal.
Yeah, it did.
It was I mean, they were tied up until the last few seconds, and the Dolphins pulled through with that field goal. But I mean, like Trey was saying, I know the Dolphins can play a lot better than this. I've seen them play better than this.
I mean, we've seen them score 70. So,
yeah, so I mean, Tyreek Hill looked good. I mean,
yeah.
That what happened. He had a good game. Yeah, one touchdown, 80 yards.
Yeah, but I mean, I definitely think they can pick it back up and do a little more for the rest of the season. But for as far as the Dolphins went for this game, I think it was not as best of a performance that they could have put on.
Yeah. I mean, they have no rushing game. I mean, call them the Colorado of the NFL if you want to, but they don't have a rushing game at all. Their highest rusher was Jeff Wilson. He had 26 yards.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, HN, that young running back who's super explosive, he struggled on the ground. He was magnificent as a receiver. He had 76 yards on 7 catches. But this is looking like if Tua doesn't throw 300 plus yards, we're losing team. And that long bomb to Tyreek Hill was his only passing touchdown of the game. I want to move over to the Jaguars here just briefly. Trevor Lawrence. There was an unfortunate fumble by Travis Etienne. I think completely flipped the game over. I think it came in the second quarter. Travis Etienne was literally running into the end zone. They punched it out. It was 17-7, and then that was the last. That probably would have sealed the game. It would have been 24-7. Most likely would have sealed the game. Trevor Lawrence had I don't know if you guys saw his touchdown to Brian Thomas. That was unbelievable. And I think that's what a lot of people want to see more out of Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
We know he has the talent. He kind of struggles sometimes. Their run game looked pretty good. Tank Bigsby had a really good night. Travis Etienne had the unfortunate fumble, which likely cost him the game, but we know he's a talented back. Mm-hmm. But what do you guys think of the Jaguars long term? Are the playoffs viable for this team, Trey?
I think so. Last year he got hurt. That's not their fault. I mean, it just happened. That's football. It's sports for you. I think they have a chance to make the playoffs. I think I know last year was a hype about Calvin really joining that team. I think he's on that team, if I'm not mistaken. No, I don't think he's on that team anymore, huh? No, he's not. I think he'll pick it. I think that team will pick it up though. Trevor Lawrence is 6'6". He's built like a QB. He's a tall guy, Most
Mhm.
most teams will 1.66 QB over a 6'1" guy, but
Yeah.
I think he'll pick it up this year. He's a prince, according to Nick Wright.
Yeah, definitely. He looks that throw. I mean, that's what keeps you coming back to the thought of Trevor Lawrence is that throw when he threw that pass. So if you look at Miami's end zone, he threw it to the top left of the M in Miami
Mm.
Yeah,
when Brian Thomas wasn't even in the end zone yet, and he was on like the right side of the end zone. It was an
Yeah.
unbelievable throw. Unbelievable throw. I think it was kind of unlucky for the Jags towards the end, but again, week one, weird things happen.
yeah,
Moving on here. Another Texas team, the Houston Texans, faced the Indianapolis Colts in Week 1, beat them 29-27. I think it was a battle of the young, talented QBs.
yeah.
Jaden, what did you think of the Houston Texans as a squad? That new running game with Joe Mixon. What did you think of C.J. Stroud and just overall the Texans offense?
I mean, Joe Mixon. I mean, 159 yards rushing is. I mean, that's
30 carries. Whew.
yeah, 30 carries, 159 yards. I mean, that's for him to do that in an opening game. Kind of just puts himself out there and says that he's here to play. And I think C.J. Stroud looked good too. I mean, he did good on his passing, and I mean, overall, I think for the Texans, I think that they look pretty good coming out.
Yeah, definitely. That 30 carries for Joe Mixon, man, that looked like an old school football team right there. Just ran it down the Colts' throat. Averaged 5 yards a carry. His long of carry was only 13 yards. It's not like he ran for a 60-yarder. That's why he had so many yards. He was just constantly chipping away. Ended up with a touchdown as well. Moving over to the Colts side of things, Anthony Richardson had 9 completions, complete passes for 212 yards, over 10 yards per pass. He had one of the best deep balls I've ever seen in my life to
Yeah.
Alec Pierce. Trey, do you think this Indianapolis Colts team can bounce back and be viable in that division?
Yeah, I wouldn't say right away, but take some time. I mean, they haven't actually had a QB since Peyton Manning, or you know, it's an Andrew Luck. And
Mhm.
Anthony Richardson, that guy's a baller. That guy, even
Yeah,
he
he
has the
is.
ball.
For sure.
That guy, he's a big boy too. He ran the ball, scored.
He's huge.
He had one touchdown and 56 yards rushing. He looked really good. But I think it'll take some time. It's a young team. Still, they're having room for a whole rebuild. A whole rebuild. Without
Mhm.
when Andrew Luck retired. But that's the one team you have to sleep on. That's a sleeper team, so watch out for them.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think anyone with Anthony Richardson at QB should be considered dangerous. I mean,
Yeah.
he has like his arm strength is actually unbelievable.
Yeah, for sure.
He slipped and then threw a 60 air pass dime right in the bucket. I mean, that was unbelievable. That was absolutely unbelievable. Moving over back to the Texans, that defense, man.
Yeah.
That defense, they held Jonathan Taylor, who's no slouch at all. We know Jonathan Taylor, what he's capable of, to 16 carries, 48 yards, 3 yards a carry. It's looking like CJ Stroud's poised for a deep playoff run. I'm really excited to watch the Texans moving forward. But we'll bounce around over to another AFC team. The Bengals stunned by the Patriots, 16-10. Joe Burrow looked bad. I mean, he didn't look great. We know Jamar Chase was a game time decision. He ended up playing. I thought he was fine, but Jaden, how are you feeling about that performance overall?
I mean, for a guy like Joe Burrow, I mean, it's honestly not that great. I mean, we've seen him put on an absolute show in games before, and you've seen him do sometimes the unthinkable. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just for him to come out in an opening game like this, I mean, it's a little disappointing to see.
Yeah.
I think he could bounce back from it. I I think he needs to, want it a little more than what he did this first game.
Yeah, the Bengals. I think Joe Burrow is now 1-8 in week one. I think it's 1-6. I forgot. I don't think he's been in the NFL for that long, 9 years. But he's only won one opening game. And Trey, I know you want to unleash on this guy Joe Burrow, so I'm going to hand it over to you. What did you think of Joe Burrow? What did you think of the Bengals in that game?
And I was shocked. Either Patriots were really good or Joe Burrow just had a complete meltdown. This guy was considered second best QB behind Mahomes. People compare this guy to Tom Brady, to Peyton Manning. So that's got to stop because look at this. This guy has 0 touchdowns, 164 yards with no touchdowns. Come on, that is not Joe Burrow like. Yeah, he was supposed to save the franchise. I don't know if it has to do with his hair, his hairstyle. Cause I don't know if it has to do anything with it, but man, I was shocked. And this guy is not the best QB in the NFL. Never has been. I know Skip's on undisputed many times. He's the best QB ever, but he's not. Mahomes, yeah, this guy went Super Bowl 3 years ago, 2 seasons ago, 3 years ago, I think. Yeah, 3 years ago, and he didn't look the same at all. I'm disappointed by him. I'm just shocked that he had 0 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
It was just depression to look at.
Yeah, definitely. And to correct myself from earlier, Joe Burrow's 1-4 in week one games. I don't know where I got 9 from. He's not that old, but nevertheless, still bad, really bad. 1-4, especially for a guy that, like you said, people compare him to Mahomes. I feel like Joe Burrow gets a benefit of the doubt that a lot of QBs don't get. If Dak Prescott went out versus the Patriots and lost, that'd be all over the media. And no one's ever called Dak the second best QB in the NFL. So really, really disappointing from the Bengals, but we'll see how they bounce back. Keep an eye out on Joe Burrow's wrist moving forward because he was shaking that thing a lot during that game. It was obviously bothering him, but we're going to move to Sunday Night Football, another thriller, overtime thriller.
Yeah.
We had the Detroit Lions at home versus the Los Angeles Rams in a game where we saw Puka Nacua go down due to injury, and it was a rough day for the Rams overall. I think I have the wrong game on there. Let's just find the right one, but. It was a rough day for the Rams. They lost Puka, their second best wide receiver. They lost I don't think they lost anyone else of note, but their O-line is struggling. They are really, really struggling as a team overall, health-wise. If we look at here, it looks like Cooper Kupp's back. Cooper Kupp had a fantastic game, 14 receptions, 110 yards and a touchdown. He had 21 targets. Matthew Stafford threw the ball 49 times. So almost half of his targets went to Cooper Kupp. What are you guys thinking about the Lions? Do you think that they can survive this spell with a banged up O-line without Puka Nacua? Trey, who do you think is going to step up for that squad?
For the Rams?
For the Rams, yeah.
I think defense is a little shaky too. I know this is the first year without Aaron Donald.
Mm-hmm.
My top 5 defensive player of all time behind number 1 LT of course, but shaky defense as well. I think Cooper Kupp looked really good. Matthew Stafford, I think Cooper Kupp all the targets and he needs to trust other as well. I know Puka's turning all stuff, but Cooper Kupp can't be Superman. He can't be Iron Man. So it's a little shaky for the Rams at first.
Right.
And Lions look dominant. So
yeah, I really liked the way the Rams defense was playing until the overtime. Yeah. In the overtime, the Detroit line. I mean, if you looked at Ben Johnson's their offensive coordinator, his play sheet must have just been David Montgomery right up the middle every time. It seems like that's all they did in the overtime, and it worked. Yeah. And he scored, and they won. Jaden, what do you think about the Lions' performance in that game?
I mean, I really thought they looked good. I mean, um, like you said, in that overtime, David Montgomery. I mean, he basically ran that
He
ball down the field by himself.
he put the cape on. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Almost he almost looked unstoppable. I mean,
Hmm.
um, I think I think they have him as a really strong asset to really. I think they should rely on him a little more considering what he did in that overtime.
Yeah,
Um, I think that overall, I think they're looking really good, and I think they have a good shot at going pretty far.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of people's NFC pick was the Lions. They are my NFC pick as well to make it to the Super Bowl. This is looking like a good squad. Jamison Williams had a fantastic game, 121 receiving yards and a touchdown. Jameer Gibbs was a little quiet. Trey, what do you think about the Lions? Do you like what they were doing?
yeah. I did. I agree with you. I think they're the biggest threat to the Niners.
Definitely.
NFC. I was a little. I first thought Williams got hurt. Because that he went down with an ankle injury. But man, they needed that guy. And
Hmm.
David Montgomery looked like Marshawn Lynch.
That was
Like
insane. That overtime was crazy.
that dude ran all over the defensive line. They couldn't stop a Park Car and Uzi, bro.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad defense was. They're gonna stop the guy. They couldn't stop the guy at all. They couldn't stop the guy. But it was
They couldn't. That was
You
rough.
know,
That was rough. That
no,
was definitely rough.
like I said though, I think Rams will take some time. Aaron Donald's not there. He's not,
Hmm.
and that if Aaron Donald was there, probably would win the game. But he got to look a lot
Yeah.
without Aaron Donald on that sideline.
Yeah, I liked the rookie Jared Verse. I thought he had a good game. But they're missing that presence in the middle. You can't really replace Aaron Donald, so it's not their fault. But
Yeah,
I think overall they'll end up looking better. That Lions have a fantastic run stop. They got a really good D line. So Kyron Williams struggled. So it was mainly Matthew Stafford's show. He had to do his best. I thought Matthew Stafford was awesome in
Yeah.
that game. If he can stay healthy and if the Rams can keep him upright, I think the Rams are a very, very dangerous squad. But overall, I thought it was a great, great Sunday night game. We're gonna switch gears here to Monday, the last game of the week. We saw the San Francisco 49ers playing the New York Jets, and San Francisco won 32-19. And it was a rough game for the Jets, guys. It was
that was bad.
it started off very strange. It was punt, fumble, punt. Brock Purdy looked bad. Aaron Rodgers looked bad. It was a rough game. And then, Breece Hall had that fumble. Then the Giants scored, the Niners scored a field goal. Then in a 12-play, 7-minute Aaron Rodgers drive to score a touchdown, the Jets went down the field. And I'm sure all of America was thinking, here they are. Here they come.
Yeah,
And that was the last touchdown they scored till the end of the second quarter. So it was a rough day for the Jets. CMC was out. We're going to talk about CMC in his situation a little bit later, but he was out. The Jets got absolutely beat up by Jordan Mason and that O-line. Trey, what are your thoughts on this game? Either team, whoever you feel like talking about, Aaron Rodgers or the Niners.
well, number one, Aaron Rodgers would be happy they didn't get hurt.
Yeah, sure.
Last year, it was all the hype with Hard Knocks, stuff like that. Bill Belichick and Peyton Manning said on their show on ESPN2 that it should have done covered two defense, man-to-man defense, and turns out they didn't do any of that stuff. I know at one point tried doing blitz, and then Jordan Mason went off on one part. Jets are looking rusty, man. I know he's back I know he hasn't played a full season in 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
but I know it'll take some time. But as far as making to the playoffs, I'm kind of concerned about them. And Niners look good, even without
Yeah.
that defensive line. For Warner, that guy's a baller, man. That guy, I saw a stat where he's not the all-time Niners defensive fumble. So
Wow,
really
that's crazy. Yeah, like I said, it was a strange game.
was, yeah.
The Jets, I feel like every play was a Brees Hall run, a Brees Hall target, or a Garrett Wilson target. And then towards the end, Alan Lazard kind of came on there towards the end. But going over to the Niners, Brock Purdy, I think he played better than his stats showed. He just did what he had to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the game plan was very obviously feed Jordan Mason. He got 28 carries, 147 yards, a touchdown. He looked unbelievable. What do you guys think? Do you think that's more of a Kyle Shanahan thing, a Jets defensive line not being that good thing, or is Jordan Mason just really good? Jaden, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, it's kind of hard to tell considering that they didn't really play up against a team who really gave him enough fight. But Jordan Mason looked really good overall. Um, I think that regardless of the team that they're playing, that I think that he could still show up and put out some good numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's kind of hard to tell if you're not really looking at a team who gave much of a fight. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Trey, what do you think?
I think it was all three. Especially at number one, Robert Saleh was a defensive coordinator for 4 years. He should know that he should know how Kyle Shanahan works.
Yeah,
And he didn't
that's true.
that didn't play at all. And Nathaniel Hackett is probably the worst offensive coordinator ever. That dude, I don't know what he was just putting Brees Hall. He's doing the same plays over and over again and didn't help at all. As far as the Niners, tell you what, that team is I think Lions and them are the team to beat in the end. And
Definitely.
without CMC and Kyle Shanahan, him and Mike Shanahan, his dad, probably one of the best offensive minds ever.
Definitely. Yeah. I thought Jordan Mason looked spectacular. Like he looked fast. He looked elite. Kyle Shanahan has a really good running scheme, but I do think Jordan Mason's a really solid back. But we're going to talk about Christian McCaffrey now. He was diagnosed with Achilles tendonitis. Apparently, the Niners have known about this for a while, and he was never going to play on Monday night, but they didn't announce it till very close to kickoff. If CMC's out, I've seen so many different things. I like to follow TikTok football doctors, right? So guys who are doctors who have TikTok's accounts, I like to follow them. I've seen a lot of them say this could be a year-long issue he deals with. I've seen people say they should sit him for 4 to 5 weeks to let him get fully healthy. I've seen a lot of things, but if it's, a more serious thing and CMC is out, Trey, do you think this is going to hurt the Niners? Do you think Jordan Mason proved that he can hold the fort down until CMC comes back? What do you think?
I think it'll hurt the Niners because CMC, in my opinion, is their best player on that squad. I think he should have won. I think he should have won MVP last year. I don't know. I know the QB award and all stuff, but he should have won. He should have definitely won MVP. Because the Lions are going to run over over Jordan Mason. He ain't CMC. CMC is a baller, but without him, they can't do anything without CMC. Look at the Super Bowl last year against the Chiefs. CMC run over that Chiefs defensive line, and Jordan Mason ain't going to do that at all. He is a good player. He had one good game. Give him credit for that. Jets defense looked awful.
That's true.
And I was surprised by that too. But as far as I think it will hurt their chances of winning the NFC. I still think they're a team to beat, but it could change in the long run.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I think CMC is obviously irreplaceable. I don't think Jordan Mason's is good, even though he looked really great. I mean, it's a week, like I've said already, it's week one. Week one's weird. Yeah. The Jets were very obviously not ready. Their best defensive lineman, Hassan Reddick, isn't even in the building. He's not even there. The only holdout left in the NFL is that guy. So definitely struggling. I thought it was a good game overall because it was like interesting to see. I think that we undervalue kickers a lot in the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone has Jake Moody in fantasy, but if you do, he scored you 26 fantasy points. I mean, he was their best player. He had 6 field goals, 6 for 6. Long of 53. He had 2 plus. He had 2 50+ yard field goals. He was. You've probably never heard anyone praise a kicker, but he was awesome, right? So it was kind of a kicker's week. Brandon Aubrey tied Justin Tucker's longest field goal. It didn't count, of course, but he hit a 66-yarder. I'm still mad they didn't let him try the 71-yarder, but it's okay. But it was kind of a kicker's week. It is really interesting. Before we move on to the next week's games preview, kind of a couple handful of games, I kind of want to talk about Aaron Rodgers a little bit. There's an Aaron Rodgers documentary coming out, and with that in mind, I think it'd be good just kind of have a quick discussion about him. Where do we rank him amongst the greats, the best QBs in the NFL? Jaden, why don't you start us off? Where would you put that guy? Well, Jaden's gone. Trey, where would you put him?
I put him top 5. I have Brady number 1, Mahomes 2, Manning 3, Peyton 4. I mean, Joe Montana 4 and Peyton, Aaron Rodgers 5.
Okay.
No, I know that he has one chip, but this guy before Mahomes, he had arguably the greatest arm talent probably ever as a QB, and I think that with Mahomes, not with Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, he hold up, sorry. Okay, Shane's back on, by the way. He has the best QBR ranking of all time. He's number 1 in that category. He's a 4-time MVP. So as far as all-time QB, he's top 5. For me, he's top 5. I know it's Brady, Mahomes, Manning, Peyton Manning, and not Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, and Aaron Rodgers. I know LeBron put Manning, John Elway forward. I think, but it shouldn't. But yeah, I have Aaron Rodgers 5.
Okay, all right, Jaden, where do you have Aaron Rodgers ranked?
I think he's obviously up there with the greats. As far as putting a rank on him, me personally, I couldn't know exactly where to put him compared to all of the older Hall of Fame people, but I think that he is definitely up there with them for sure. I mean, he's done so many unbelievable things that that really do put him up there as one of the greatest. And I think he definitely does deserve a documentary showing recapping and highlighting how he got to all the places that he did.
All right. Yeah, definitely. He as for me, he's such an interesting quarterback to talk about. One, he's kind of a strange guy, Yeah, and not saying that in a bad way. He does his things that he likes to do, and I can respect that. But he is so polarizing because he is. If you just watch game film from him in his prime, you're like, this guy had to have won 6 Super Bowls and 6 MVPs, Super Bowl MVPs. That's what you'd think when you watch him, but you look at the accolade sheet and it says he's won a single Super Bowl. So he's really, really hard to rank because he passes the eye test better than probably any other quarterback. And I'm including Patrick Mahomes in that because Aaron Rodgers has so many fantastic regular seasons on his resume. And it's kind of hard to rank him because he's struggled in the postseason. We've seen him have the NFC title game in his building multiple times, and gotten absolutely destroyed by the 49ers. And it's just really, it's tough. For me, I have Patrick Mahomes as the greatest of all time. That's a little early, sure. I understand what Brady did, but I think at the end of the day, we're all going to be calling Mahomes the GOAT. I'd have Brady 2. I'd have Peyton Manning 3. And out of just sheer respect for what he has done and for the quarterback that he is, I would put Aaron Rodgers 4 and then Joe Montana 5. If any old heads watch this, I apologize. I'm so sorry that Joe Montana's 5. Please don't come at me. It's just, one guy had Jerry Rice. I'm not going to get into it, but
just do it, Nick.
Joe Montana had Jerry Rice, and what happened? Steve Young was immediately successful. Aaron Rodgers didn't have a great defense towards the end of his tenure in Green Bay, and he never had. I don't care how good Davante Adams was, he never had anyone as close to as good as Jerry Rice. Yeah. No disrespect to Davante Adams intended. I think he's a fantastic wide receiver, but I've never seen someone be as elite as Aaron Rodgers in the regular season. So I would have him 4. I'd have Joe Montana 5, but I think that he definitely, like Jaden said, deserves a documentary. Yeah. I thought he's had a fantastic career, and although he struggled very, very badly on, I think it was Monday night. Yeah, Monday night. I think that I hope he bounces back. I'm rooting for the guy, right? So we're going to take a quick break here, and then we're going to jump into the Thursday night preview and the rest of the games this week. So we'll be right back now. All right, guys, thanks for coming back, joining us. We're going to jump right back in here with the Thursday night preview. We got the Buffalo Bills making the trip down to Miami, playing the Dolphins. This is a divisional battle. This is a divisional rival. In the last few games, I don't think actually Tua has ever beaten the Bills. Tua has never beaten the Bills. So who do you guys think this needs this game more? Who's this game more important to? It was Josh Allen and the Bills or Tua and the Dolphins, Trey? What do you think?
I think Tua and the Dolphins. I mean, last year they played each other, and then they just put the best of the Dolphins. Josh Allen, even without Diggs, he looked pretty good on Sunday against the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had a good rushing touchdown. He's a big guy, 6'5". I think he's second best QB behind Mahomes, in my opinion. I know people have Lamar Jackson and Burrow, but
I would agree on that.
For me, I have second behind Mahomes, and that's even without Stephon Diggs.
Okay.
Tua has a lot of pressure on him this game.
Yeah, he definitely does. I'm pulling up here the last 10 Dolphins versus Bills games. Bills won in the playoff game.
Yeah.
Then the Bills won December 22, September 22. I mean, just absolutely dominated, have been dominating the Dolphins for a while. I think Tua's record versus the Bills, I'm just going to pull it up here real quick, is really pretty abysmal. He's 1-6. I don't think Josh Allen played in that game that he won, if I remember correctly. It was September 25th, 2022. I think he was hurt. I think he was hurt that game. I'm just going to pull it up here because I want to get this right. But either way, even if Allen played, which I don't think he's playing in that game, it's been rough. It's been rough for Tua. It's been rough for the Dolphins. Josh Allen just abuses them. If you see his stats, and he did play in that game. He did play in that game that he won in 2022. Josh Allen had 400 yards, by the way. Tua had 186. Josh Allen has torched the Bills. Jaden, do you think that this game is an early decider on who wins that division?
You know, I think it's definitely a good idea. I mean, if you look how it's been in the past, I mean, it definitely shows. You know, I think I mean they beat them in that one playoff game in the past, but you know, I think for if I think it really will show who's gonna take it compared to those two. If you look at their game last year, I mean, last year they played on October 1st, and it was 48-20, and the Bills took it.
Man.
Yeah.
And Josh Allen had 320 yards, and Tua had 282 yards. So
Yeah.
I think this really is a big game for the Dolphins, and I think if they really want a good chance this year, that they really need to win this game.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's gonna be a fun game.
Yeah.
I'm a Josh Allen fan. No, it's not because he's on my fantasy team. Yes, it's because he's on my fantasy team. I just he's a beast, man. Here's some numbers versus the Dolphins. He's 10-2 versus the Dolphins. He has 3,300 passing yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That sounds like a really good regular season.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a passer rating of 110, almost 700 rushing yards. He owns the Dolphins. This is as big of a week 2 game as you could possibly get for the Dolphins, because, and Tua mentioned it in a press conference. He says that's going to be the narrative, that we can't beat the Bills until we beat them. And it's not a narrative, it's just facts.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that Josh Allen owns the Dolphins. I'm really excited for this game. I think the Dolphins are going to, or not the Dolphins, I think the Bills are going to win. I think even without Stephon Diggs, I really like Keon Coleman. I like Khalil Shakir. I think they have good tight ends. I like James Cook. And then they got Superman at quarterback. So I'm really looking forward to this. Is there anything else y'all want to add on that game?
Yeah, and Tua is terrible against elite QBs and elite teams. He's terrible. Well, he's not that good. I don't trust Tua at all. Tyreek Hill's going to go back to Kansas City or something, because he ain't going to do anything in Miami.
Yeah, definitely. He struggles very badly versus playoff teams.
Yeah.
Last year, 2023, he was 1-5 versus playoff teams.
Man, that's not going to do it.
1-5, 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's bad versus playoff teams. He's very, very bad versus playoff teams. And I think the Bills are going to win the AFC East. They're my pick. So I think they're going to be playing a playoff team. And just so happens that the quarterback on the opposing side is the Dolphins' daddy. So I'm really looking forward to this game. And I'm excited. I think it should be a good game. I love good Thursday night games. I think sometimes we get a bad Thursday night schedule. So, excuse me. Moving on to Sunday, we're going to preview a couple games here. We're going to talk about the Saints playing in Jerry World. The Saints had a really, really good opener versus the woeful Panthers. They blew them out of the water, 47-10. Really rough day for the Panthers, but the Saints looked decent. I don't know if it's because the Panthers are bad or whatnot, but they're going to Jerry World. Trey, give me your thoughts on that game.
I got Cowboys winning. Derek Carr, yeah, 4 touchdowns last week, but like I said, it's against a bad O-line against the Panthers. Panthers need help. They need up. They need to ask their coaches for offensive line for Christmas. That's going to be number 1. The Cowboys are going to look good. I know it's a soft schedule, but I trust in his Dak Prescott for Derek Carr. Derek Carr, to me, is not elite. He's not that good at all, in my opinion. I think Zeke Elliott will tear it up, and same with Micah Parsons. That Cowboys game.
Yeah, the Cowboys are favored in that game by 6 points, I think. So typically what Vegas does is they give you 3 points if you're at home. They just give you 3. Even so say, for instance, a bad team is at home, they'll give them 3 points. So the other team's all favored by 3 less than they normally would be. So Vegas is saying if this game was played on a neutral field, it's a 3-point game.
3 points.
The Dallas would win by 3. I think Vegas is underrating Dallas and overrating the Saints a little bit. A lot of people thought the Saints were going to be really bad. I still think they're not going to be great. They just so happen to play maybe the worst team in the NFL. So, yeah, I have the Cowboys winning that game too. Jaden, what do you think about that game?
Same here. I mean, I got the Cowboys winning. I mean, I think that, especially, they got home field advantage. I mean, that's kind of huge in these kind of games. But I think that I think that the Cowboys will really put on a show.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is prime. I think the Cowboys need this game. They need as many easy games as they can get.
Yeah.
And even though the Saints look good, they look fine. It was the Panthers, so
Yeah.
I think Vegas is overacting a little bit. I would definitely take the over if I'm a betting man. I'm not a betting man, but it seems like the Cowboys are going to win that game by more than a touchdown.
Yeah.
Moving on to another really big game, the 3:25 kickoff. We got the Bengals at Arrowhead, which the Bengals players dubbed Burrowhead, and then Joe Burrow went in and lost, but it's fine. We got them. Can the Bengals bounce back at the Chiefs, Trey?
No. You're not at all. I mean, that Joe Burrow has had meltdown after meltdown after meltdown. And I trust in Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes to me, so turn that defensive up. I think Joe Mixon leaving was a lot.
Definitely.
I know they lost some of the line too, is what I saw on the offseason trades too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't trust in Joe Burrow. That guy, I'm sorry to say, but he doesn't look the same at all. He's gonna get hurt. He's gonna injure his wrist again.
Yeah, he's definitely injury prone. If we look here, he was sacked 3 times by the Patriots.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
I think the Chiefs got a better pass rush than the Patriots. They got really good corners. I think Jamar Chase could break one. There's no L'Jarius Sneed. I know McDuffie's awesome, but McDuffie typically plays in the slot. Yeah. So Jamar Chase being a true outside threat, maybe Jamar could be special. But I don't know if Burrow's going to have time to throw Jamar Chase an 80-yard pass. Like, I really just don't know. Jaden, your thoughts on that game? Do you think there's any chance the Bengals can win this?
I don't think so. I think that, especially given the performance that they had this past week, I know we talked about it earlier. It's only one game, but I mean, against someone like the Chiefs, you can't have a game like they had this past week and expect to win.
If you give Chiefs the opening, if you don't try the Chiefs early, they're gonna come back and eat you up, spit you out. Yeah, you gotta attack that. You gotta be the first one to score. If I'm the Bengals,
yeah,
it can't be a field goal either. It has to be a touchdown.
Yeah,
the moment, just get the ball back after the field goal, it's over.
Yeah. Joe Burrow is one of the only quarterbacks that has a winning record versus Mahomes. I think it's him and Brady. Yeah, him and Tom Brady. So he's 3-1. He's 3-1 versus them. The last time he lost was in that AFC title game, where the Chiefs won on a field goal. But that's kind of the only thing I think Bengals fans are really holding on to, or people picking the Bengals, is that, well, Joe Burrow plays well versus the Chiefs. He has a winning record versus Mahomes. I personally think that at this point, the Chiefs are just such a better team.
Yeah.
I worry about Joe Burrow's wrist. I'm worried about the offensive weapons outside of Jamar Chase, because T. Higgins is likely not to play. There's no Joe Mixon. We don't know much about Zach Moss. I'm really interested to see. And the Chiefs have offensive firepower now. And It'll be I'm really interested to see what happens in this game. We know that Joe Burrow's a lot better in the second week than he is in the first week. So hopefully that's a good one. But yeah, I got the Chiefs too. Vegas got this game at Kansas City by 5.5. So if it was played in neutral site, it'd be 2.5 point spread. I think that's a little low. I think they're probably leaning on the fact that Joe Burrow has a winning record versus the Chiefs. So, but it should be fun. Should be fun. Moving on to Sunday night, we got hopefully the game of the week. It'll be really fun to watch. We got the Chicago Bears taking on the Texans in Houston. Trey, how much does Caleb need a good game here?
I don't think he needs I think he needs to get a decent game, not a great game. He's still a rookie. Maybe he was his second year in the league or third league for sure. But because last year, on Sunday, he looked a little nervous, a little jittery,
Definitely
shaky. But you can't do that because of Texans. I think CJ Stroud, if he's up with Saquon, doesn't look really, really good. So he needs to be play decent, but not extremely great.
right. I mean, you don't think that playing CJ's going to add a little bit to his pressure, I guess, given that CJ's the best of the young quarterbacks?
No. He's still a rookie.
Okay. Jaden?
I think he's gonna feel a little more pressured. I think that seeing that it's his second NFL game.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and he's playing against a team like the Texans. I think he's gonna feel a little more pressure on him. I think that he, like Trey said, I think he needs to have a decent game. I think he has a great game, but I think he needs to put the nerves aside and just play the game.
Yeah, definitely. The Bears were my sleeper team for the year. I think Caleb needs to play at least good. I think he needs to play a little better than decent. I think he needs to throw a couple of touchdowns, at least 200 yards passing, and look good. Because I think it'll, propel this Bears team for the rest of the season, if they're able to beat a team like the Texans, especially in Houston. But it's also really important, I think, for Caleb's mentality moving forward. He needs to play good here, and I really hope that the Bears can scheme up something for him, get him some easy looks, get him some easy passes, right? He's not at USC anymore. He can't run around flying all over the place, throwing dots all over the field, because these guys in the NFL are going to catch him when he's running around now. So I'm really looking forward to this. What was that?
And they're grown men too, ain't kids.
They're grown men. They're not college kids. They're grown men. These guys get paid millions of dollars to do this, and it's a different world. And I think it's likely Rome Odunze's out. It's likely Keenan Allen's out. He's going to be left with DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, and not much else offensively. I think he's going to have to play good for a chance to win. I think he needs to play great for the Bears to win this game. For the Texans, is there any pressure on CJ at all? Do you guys think he needs to completely dominate Caleb Williams, or do you think that's not even going to be an issue going in?
I think that if he dominates Caleb Williams, I think he has a good chance of doing that. But I think if he does, it's one that's really going to hurt Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
If he has an absolute blowout game against him. But I don't know. I think if the Bears keep level-headed and actually play their game, I think they have a shot of having a decent game against them.
Yeah, Trey, what do you think?
I agree with Jaden. I think CJ Stroud won't be able to beat the brakes off him, but he's going to give him a little bit more pressure to beat him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm one of these guys, CJ or Caleb, NFC team, AFC team, both the young, super talented, CJ's in his second year now, Caleb's a rookie, but if I'm either of these guys, I'm thinking I'm going to see this guy in the Super Bowl one day, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm the Bears, I'm thinking one day we're going to be playing against CJ and the Texans and vice versa, just given, the expectations for both guys. If I'm either of these guys, I want to dominate this game. Mm-hmm. If I'm CJ, I want to show everybody Caleb Williams is this generational talent. I'm still the best young quarterback. I'm going to show you guys what's going to happen in the Super Bowl if we play one day. And same goes for Caleb. I'm going to come in, even though I'm a rookie, I'm going to show everyone I'm the best young quarterback. I think it's such a good game. Whoever is making the schedule at the NFL is really, really doing a good job, because I think both of these defenses are elite, and it's going to be really fun to see how Caleb is able to bounce back. And we all know CJ's a dog. He's going to be awesome. I think it'll be a good test for the Bears defense too. But that's kind of all we have here for the NFL. We're going to jump into a couple of college football games from last week, just kind of briefly touch. My alma mater, Texas Tech, lost to Washington State 37-16. I'm going to go first on this because, like I said, at my alma mater, I am very confused. So first of all, I'm just gonna unload on this. Taj Brooks was out, star running back.
Yeah.
Best running back in the Big 12. Don't come at me. He was hurt. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. We got this guy. I don't know if you guys know him. His name's Micah Hudson. I don't know, 5-star recruit. He caught one ball for 4 yards. He did the Marvin Harrison, 1 for 4. What's going on here at Texas Tech? Do you guys have answers for me? I need something here. Washington State. I picked the Red Raiders to win the Big 12, and we can't even beat Washington State. We got their running back averaged 9.4 yards a carry.
Man,
I mean, it was just embarrassing. Barron had no time to do anything. He still threw for 300 yards because they were down the whole game. He threw 58 passes. Like, guys, help me out here. I don't know if y'all watch this game, but what's going on? What's going on, Trey? Help me out, bro.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised. I really am with you. I'm surprised you lost this game. I take winning the Big 12 as well. I know I'm feeling just give up on Tech, man. They haven't done anything since Mike Leach, Patrick Mahomes.
They couldn't even do anything with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true, but I think the real dynasty happened with Mike Leach. Rest in peace. Man, I don't know. That defense didn't look good at all either.
No, I mean, Washington State. Are you ready for these numbers? Rushed for 301 yards.
Man.
6.5 a carry. 4 rushing touchdowns. I mean, that was just embarrassing, right? I mean, they barely sneak out a win in their first game versus ACU. They win by a point in overtime. Then they go to Washington State and get blown off the field. I'm having a rough one, guys. I'm having a rough time with this. I really thought this Tech team was going to be the best we've seen in a while. Our freshman 5-star is apparently in the doghouse already. Barely gets any snaps. Our best player, Taj Brooks, is out. I don't know for how long. I pray it's not for long because he's heart and soul of that offense. But I'm really confused. And if you look at the Red Raiders schedule moving forward here, Tech's schedule, they get to play North Texas at home. That's going to apparently be a close game. I have no reason to believe that Tech can just blow anyone out anymore. Like it's going to be a close game. Then you play Arizona State. Then you play Cincinnati. Then you play at Arizona, the top 25 team, top 20 team right now. Then you play Baylor, at TCU, at Iowa State, 21 in the nation, versus Colorado, which honestly, guys, that Colorado game should just be whoever scores 100 points first wins, because neither team has a defense. I mean, it's just embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like Taj Brooks, if he's healthy, might run for 700 yards in that game, and Shedeur Sanders might throw for 700 yards. I mean, it's just bad, right? So just first 100 wins. Then we play at Oklahoma State. top 15 team. They're ranked 13 right now. Guys, I don't even know if we're going to make a bowl. I don't even know if a bowl is even possible. Like, yeah, I'm having a rough time. Jaden, you got anything for me? You got any glimmer of hope for me?
As of right now, I don't.
Yeah, man.
I mean, they barely came out in their first game.
Man.
They didn't put up anything good in the first game. Nothing surprising. Their second game, they lose to a team like Washington State, and I mean, they're playing a lot of other unranked teams, and I think that if they keep this up, that they're gonna have a very, very disappointing record for the season.
Yeah. And like I said, I had him winning the Big 12, guys. I thought this team was good. I thought the defense was going to get better from last year. I thought the offense was going to be a lot better. And it looked like in the first game, the offense was at least good. And now we can't score anything, and Baron Morton's running for his life. So rough day to be a Red Raider, guys. I'm not even going to watch the North Texas game. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm really confused, and I'm just going to I don't even know. I want to move on. I don't want to talk about this anymore. We're going to talk about Alabama. They beat South Florida. We'll just touch on this briefly. They just steamrolled them 42-16. Their quarterback looked great. He had another solid game, 4 total touchdowns. That Jalen Milroe looked solid. Their running back Jam Miller looked good. Trey, I know you were a big Nick Saban fan, which means you, by proxy, were a big Alabama fan. Yeah. What do you think of this Alabama team so far? 2 games into the season.
I mean, they played 2 mediocre teams, but props to Nick Saban. He got named the field after him. In my opinion, greatest college coach of all time in football.
Not a hot take. Yeah, not a hot take.
Ever since Mac Brown, other dudes. Sorry, bro. It's Nick Saban. I think one thing though is that they are a little bit more freedom, discipline. Nick Saban, the dancing they had on Saturday night. That one didn't fly with Nick Saban. That wouldn't fly with.
Just to jump in real quick, they had how many penalties? It was bad, right?
Yeah. Nick Saban, that was Nick Saban. It ain't gonna happen. If you look at it, there's a video of him in that game.
Yeah, I saw that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
He looked so mad, man.
I know what you're talking about.
Thank God I'm retired.
Okay, Alabama, real quick, 13 penalties, 120 yards given up. That would never happen with Nick Saban. No. They gotta clean that up. Like Trey said, they did play 2 mediocre teams. They get to play Wisconsin Saturday at 12, big noon kickoff. Then they go to Georgia. They're playing in Alabama, but they're playing in Tuscaloosa, but it's still Georgia, the number 1 ranked team in the nation, right? So they should definitely clean it up because Georgia, if they have 13 penalties versus Georgia,
they're cooked.
They're cooked. It's over. Jumping over to the opposing Texas team, Texas played versus Michigan State. Not Michigan State. They played against Michigan. The Wolverines.
Man, that was
Quinn Ewers, Heisman candidate. I think he's definitely a Heisman candidate. There's one guy that I think I'll talk about him a little later. We'll talk about him at the end. But overall, Texas looked awesome. Like I said in our unreleased first episode, I think Texas is the best team in the nation. Mm-hmm. The Quinn Ewers looked awesome. He was just surgical. Nothing wrong there. The Texas, Michigan was ranked 10. It's not like they're a rough team. I don't know if either of you guys watched that game, but if you did, what'd you think of Texas in that game?
I mean, Michigan's line, it's terrible. All the players went to the NFL, including their coach. Half of the players did. Quinn Edwards, though, that guy tore it up. I think I do agree with you. I think they're the best team in the nation. They can compete with Georgia. But Quinn Edwards, put that dude for Heisman. Put him down.
Yeah, he's looking good. Jaden, what do you think of Texas?
I mean, like I said, they're the best Texas team right now. Unfortunately for you, but I mean, with the quarterback leading the charge like that, I mean, it's kind of hard to stop a team like that.
Yeah,
I think they're looking pretty good for this year.
yeah. Trey, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, Donovan Edwards is all that talk. He didn't do anything. Yeah, 8 carries, 0 touchdowns.
41 yards, zero touchdowns, 1 catch for 2 yards. I mean, Texas just bullied the bullies, right? Michigan last year with under Jim Harbaugh, they were the big bad bullies, and they miss Jim Harbaugh. We didn't talk about the Chargers, but the Chargers, I watched a lot of things. Their post game, like in the locker room, Jim Harbaugh on the sideline, like going from Brandon Staley to Jim Harbaugh. I bet Justin Herbert feels like he won the lottery.
Man,
Like
I would too.
that team, that Chargers team looks so revitalized. There's so much energy. They look disciplined, and you see without Jim Harbaugh, Michigan blown off the field by the Longhorns. So, yeah. Unfortunately, I think Texas is the best team in the nation. I'm not happy to say that. Just to touch real quick, I don't know if you guys know the Boise State Broncos running back, Ashton Janty, I think is how you say his name. He's a running back. He is unbelievable. I mean, if you guys haven't seen him, you should watch him. He's played 2 games, right? He has 459 yards and 9 touchdowns in 2 games.
That's really
2 games, and he just almost beat Oregon by himself. Wow. He's unreal. Definitely look him up if you haven't seen him. He's averaging 10 yards a carry. He's unreal. When I was talking about Heisman, I immediately thought of him. He's unbelievable. But moving on here, we're going to talk about something Trey definitely doesn't want to talk about. We're going to talk about Nebraska versus Colorado. The Cornhuskers played against the Buffaloes on Saturday, and man, did the Buffaloes get beat up. Freshman quarterback Dylan Raiola had another solid game. He didn't have to do much in this game. But Trey, I want you to just take the lead on this. What do you think about Colorado 2 games into the season, buddy?
Well, I know they're done. They're cooked. Deion Sanders not winning Colorado. I think it should went to the SEC and have a better team. If someone's to go to Colorado, I'm gonna let my kid go there if he plays. Because man, they lost half their transfers. At the time, they didn't sign an O-line on live national television. He's gone. He's not even playing for them no more. Like what in the rushing yards, 16 yards, man. That's terrible.
Yeah.
You can go out there and do more than that.
And you know why they had 16 yards? Because Shador was negative 30 yards.
30.
Man.
Yeah, guys, like that was like the Colorado Buffaloes, they would be lucky to win 4 games again this year.
Yeah.
If you look at their schedule, we're going to take a quick look, and then I want to talk about Nebraska a little bit. We're going to look at their schedule. They play Colorado State.
They might lose.
They might lose that game, but just if you look at it, Colorado State and Baylor and maybe Tech, because we're horrible apparently, are the only 3 games that they could potentially win. Yeah. They're not beating UCF. Kansas State's going to blow them out of the field. Arizona's going to blow them out of the field. I think Cincinnati's better than them. Utah's going to do some devious things to them. It's going to be bad. I think Kansas is going to whoop them, and obviously Oklahoma State is going to dominate them. They would be lucky to win 4 games this year. No. I mean, is there any hope for them?
No, they're done. I love Prime. I love Deion Sanders, one of my favorite athletes of all time. But I don't think he can win Colorado. And Stephen A. made a point that he thinks that he should move on from Big 12 after this season. Go to either to see SEC,
Yeah.
a better roster, better recruitment, because he ain't gonna do it in Colorado. If he
Yeah.
does, it'll take him like 10 years probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, it's to the point where we can't even like evaluate Shador Sanders properly because he has no time to throw.
Mm-mm.
I know.
I mean, we don't even know what he looks like.
No. And then Christmas is coming up for them too, so they need to ask Dion for online for Christmas.
They do. They better pray Santa brings them five-star recruits for Christmas for the O-line.
Yeah.
They can't run. They can't pass block. This is a woefully bad team. I don't think Nebraska's great. I think they're okay. And Nebraska just looked better in every aspect. Their quarterback looked better. Their running backs obviously looked better. I thought Travis Hunter once again tried his best. I thought he was great, but like their defense, I think they lost Shiloh that game. He broke his arm, and their defense is horrible, bad. I think Nebraska just turned like they scored 28 and a half and then quit. Like they just ran the ball. Like they didn't care anymore. The game was over. Yeah. So rough day for the Colorado Buffs. Moving to Nebraska real quick. What do you guys think of Dylan? I've dubbed him Dylan Mahomes Raiola, not because I think he's as good as Mahomes, but because I don't know if you've seen this guy. He has copied Mahomes' everything. His haircut, his sunglasses, his vibe, his pregame hype up. And like, what do you guys think of that? Jaden, what do you think of this I don't even know what it is. Infatuation Dylan Raiola has with Mahomes.
You know, I mean, everybody, I feel like at some point has that, infatuation with Mahomes. I just don't think everybody expresses it the way that he does.
Yeah.
I think that, for him to be, a quarterback on a college football team and to want to aspire to be like someone like Patrick Mahomes, I understand that.
I get it.
I think going out there and completely copying him, I don't think that's good for him because it doesn't really make a name for himself.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he wants to make a name for himself, he needs to put his own personality out there.
Yeah. Trey, what do you think?
He's not Mahomes. I think Mahomes. There's no reason to close to that standard. I mean, look at Caleb Williams. Not trying to dismiss Caleb Williams. People saying the same thing about Caleb, and then he didn't look good at all in the first game. And that needs to chill a little bit. So much pressure on him now. He did say the reason why he won because of Tim Tebow. In my opinion, the greatest college quarterback of all time, 3 Heismans, and that's the SEC one. SEC one he also was a fantastic, incredible run. But he ain't Mahomes. Copy him all you want. Kobe did the same thing to Jordan. But you know what?
That's true.
And LeBron did the same thing to Jordan too.
Not really.
Jordan copied LeBron's copied his number. He said the reason why.
Oh, the number. Yeah, I get the number, but that's about it.
Yeah, even but Brady copycat Joe Montana. No, it's just looking up for inspiration, but
yeah,
the comparison needs to chill.
Yeah, I agree. The comparison needs to chill. Mahomes seems totally okay with what he's called him Little Cuzzo. He's been really talked him up. Like I think Dylan Raiola is a great young quarterback. I do think he's adding a little pressure to himself. But hey, if Mahomes says it's okay, like he's cool with it, and I don't see a problem with it. I think later on it might hurt him if he doesn't really develop his own style and personality. But hey, Mahomes is a great guy to copy, 3 Super Bowls, I like if you want to copy a guy, it's not a bad one to do, but I think he's turned Nebraska around seemingly. If next year they get a good recruiting class, they could be a dangerous team. He's going to continue getting better. I think he's a solid young quarterback. I'm excited. I watch Nebraska games now. If Travis, if you're watching this, bro, he's probably really excited about that. But no, I think that they could be good. Dylan Raiola is a solid young QB. But the Buffaloes, man, the Colorado Buffaloes. Whew, rough day to be a Colorado fan. Rough day to be a Tech fan too. Yeah, guys, that's about all we have for today. Thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Sorry again for our lack of first episode. We had some issues, but we're going to work through them. Thanks for staying patient with us, and we'll see you guys again next week. See y'all later.